welcome to all of you to this lecture on the Indian and Chinese economies. It's a fascinating subject and I'm grateful to Dr. Bhalla for not only taking time out to come and share his thoughts with us, but also for having prepared a very comprehensive presentation on this. The chair for today's session is Dr.Subir.
Let me first introduce Surjit briefly and then provide some context to what he might be talking about. I have no idea what he's going to talk about, but I will attempt to put it in context nevertheless. Surjit Bhalla is the chairman and MD of Oxus Investments, which is a New Delhi-based research, asset management and advisory firm. He has a PhD in Economies from Princeton and a master's from Princeton and an engineering degree from Purdue.
Subir for a nice introduction and, if you will, quite a nice summary of the issues that I would have wanted to address, but I think a lot of them are in there, and the fertility and population question is not addressed, but that will come in later. Look, basically the purpose of the talk is what is it that we can learn from what has happened in China to our own progress. And what I want to present here is a large historical view of the changes that have taken place in China, the growth that has taken place in China, what lessons, if you will, does it have for India, and what the future is likely to look like. You know, my favorite graph for the last decade actually is the following. What it shows is the blue line is the share of India and China in the world population, and the red line is the share of India and China in world income. Now when the two lines cross, that's when per capita income in India and China is equal to per capita income in the rest of the world. And what you have is that for 450 years, that is from 1500 to about 1980 or 480 years therefore, India and China per capita within, and that graph is not shown here, were within plus minus 15%. Very, very close. Okay. Sometimes China was ahead, sometimes India was ahead. And in 1980 was the trough for both China and India, China actually 1978, where the per capita income of India and China was only 8% of the per capita income of the world. Now, from 1980 to 2015, that's something like 35 years, and what is expected that in the next 15 years, per capita income in India and China will be equal to the world average. So what the two large population countries lost out in 450 years, they will make back in 50. And if you will, if you really go into this graph, it captures practically everything, I believe, that we are experiencing, have experienced, and if you will experience. Remember, the two together have something like 40% of the world's population. The growth rates, let me just go in, that China grew at something like, as Subir was saying, something like 8-9% per capita last 30 years. India grew at something like 4% per capita since 1980. And the two together have grown at 6% an average per capita for the last 35 years. Okay. The Western world has grown at an average of 1% per capita, and you go down the list, you haven't seen anything like this. The world hasn't seen anything like this. And a lot of the happenings in the world, whether it is the middle class or it is, if you will, now very, very low interest rates, you relate it to what's happening in India and China. So that's the first point.